All right, class, this video is going to demonstrate the whip stitch. For this one, you're going to need 2 pieces of muslin, sample size, 3 inches by 6 inches, 1 flat, 1 folded in half. I encourage you to press this with the iron so you get a nice crisp edge like this. All right, you can do that in the shop. Maybe you have an iron at home. You can finger press it. You're just not going to get that nice crisp edge, and that's what I want you to have. You're also going to need some pins, needle, thread, and some snips. Of course, first thing you want to do is thread your needle. Let's do that. Tie your knot. I'm going to do the French knot. I hope you've been practicing these knots. Keep practicing these knots. They're never going to go away. See how I caught the loop on that pinky right there? That might help you not get your threads all tangled. It's a nice knot. Trim that tail like I've asked you. All right, my thread is prepared. Let's prepare my sample. Oops, I want to lay this so the folded edge is right in the middle and on top. And I'm gonna pin this piece of fabric in place. So what I'm doing when I pin this is I'm going through this layer, into this layer, back up and back through this layer as well. I'll try to show you here. You pin in to both layers. See how you can see through the back there? And then you want to just turn that and bring it back. See how that works? Add a third one. Like we talked about in class, I want you to make sure that this is laying nice and flat. If this is bunchy, then you probably pinned it wrong. Okay, to do the whip stitch. The whip stitch is called whip stitch because it basically whips around the edge of something. To start, I want you to go into just this folded piece here. So you're going to put your needle in the back side of the folded piece, kind of close to the edge, and bring that through. So now your knot should be sitting right there. To start the whip stitch, I want you to look across and come down some. You're going to go into the flat back piece of fabric first and come up through this piece of fabric. Like this. You want to move down about a 1/4 inch from where you are and insert the needle there and come up through the folded piece. Do we see that? When you draw that thread down, it should be a little slashy diagonal line like that. Same thing again. Go from here about a 1/4 down and over. You want to go in there and come out through the top folded piece. Now you see how my thread's about to wrap around my pin there? You just want to move that out of the way. Now that I've sewn past that pin, I can take that pin out pretty easily. Let me just do one more stitch before I do that though. So, to do the whip stitch, you just keep moving down along like this. Move that thread out of your way. Down about a 1/4 inch, up and through. Down about a 1/4 inch, up and through. Get a little closer maybe, you can see a little better. Oops. This is your whip stitch. It is really simple. It's used for quick. Now see, I caught myself around the needle again, or the pin again. So I need to pick up my thread loop and slide it off of that pin. That's one of the more annoying things that happens in sewing. It's just kind of hard to avoid. You'll learn to control your threads a little better as you sew more, but this is what your whip stitch sample should look like, minus all the catching on pins. My goodness, This is frustrating. All right. To quote my old sewing teacher, this is why people don't sew. All right. Let me do 2 more stitches and then we'll do the knot to finish off. Pull that pin out of my way. Last stitch. All right. When you knot off, ooh, that is really ugly, y'all. Do better than those 2 right there. When you knot off, you're gonna come here. I want you to come through one more time. Now knot off on the thick part. That way, if this were the inside of your garment, this is the outside of your garment, you're not gonna see the knot tie off. It'll just be here. So for the knot, remember we like to go in right next to where the stitch comes out, pick up just a couple of threads or fibers or yarns, draw that down, right through the same place, and as the loop closes, put your needle through. Tighten that down. That's 1 knot. I always like a second for security because if my knot comes untied, my thread will all come out. There's my loop right through the center of it. Tighten that knot and you're done. Once, of course, you've sewn all the way from one end to the other. Don't forget, all of your samples should be the complete 6-inch width. That's the whip stitch.